Yeah.
Welcome to Crucial Podcast. That's it, right? There's no tagline. So they get down to the little planet and they're farting around in the woods trying to go disable the shield, and some fucking stormtroopers see them and they ride around on motorcycles for a while, right? And they get caught in a net, right?
Yeah.
And then R2-D2 cuts the net down, and then a couple of fucking teddy bears. You remember? All right, here we go. Control V. Luke chokes. He pulls fucking laser guns. He is badass. He does hyper super jumps. But oh my god, 2 teddy bears with a spear, and I am in bondage.
No. That's not how it goes down. If you remember, Luke tells the group to relinquish their weapons. He says, "Don't worry, it'll be fine," because he knows that the Ewoks are not malicious. It's because of those force powers that he allows them to be taken to the village. They could have easily killed all of those Ewoks. He specifically tells Han and Chewie to stand down because he can sense that they're not a threat.
He looks scared shitless.
No, he doesn't. He's laughing through half the scene.
He's terrified.
What are you talking about? No, there's a comedy bit there with 3PO, and they're all chuckling to themselves.
We're not there yet. They're just like, oh, the fucking Jedi. They got their little things like, just stop. And he poos on himself.
That's not true.
He does.
That's just a straight up lie. Also, I wanted to know how you felt about the speeder chase. Because I still think it's a pretty good sequence.
I mean, if you enjoy really weak green screen scenes, and it's all right.
Man, dude, the movie is fucking how old? I think the fact that shit was put together by fucking hand is still pretty impressive by today's standards.
There are certain movies that hold up from that era. Episode 4, rather. So a lot of the technology there holds up pretty well.
Jaws. Not one. No. In episode 4, nothing in that movie moves in anything but straight fucking lines. There's nowhere near the dynamic camera work, nowhere near the dynamic shots that they pull off in that speeder sequence. It doesn't even come close. That speeder sequence
stands out as like, oh yeah, this is 70s freaking green screen stuff.
I agree that it's dated, but I'm just saying it's a really ambitious sequence for the time. I still think that based on the technology at the time, it's really impressive and a really ambitious sequence. And I think that that's kind of the word of the day on Jedi. I was kind of stunned by how ambitious all those things were, because if you think back to the Death Star assault in episode 4, everything moves in straight lines. Nothing does anything but move in straight lines. When Han pulls off, quote, a few maneuvers, he lists lazily to the left, right? Now think about some of the bank turns and the sequence where Luke pops the lightsaber and takes the nose off of that thing. That shot still looks good, in my opinion. I think that it's really impressive.
I just forgot all that because Luke, the most badass Jedi still alive, gets captured by a teddy bear.
He allows them to be taken to the village again.
It's all in his plan.
It's not a plan. He just makes a judgment call.
Well, they form a partnership because the gold god gets them out, and all of a sudden, fucking Leia with her, because she got captured earlier, but she made friends with hers. No, she just made a buddy with the fucking thing.
She wasn't captured. She was escorted back.
She went out and then she braided her hair and she put on a dress, and they're hanging out at the little Ewok party because why not get onto your goddamn mission? We need to fucking sit around and talk about So let's go on here. Later, Luke confesses to Leia that she is his sister. Hang on. No, let's move on. Vader is their father, and that he is leaving to confront him. Okay, so let's talk about this scene for a minute. Luke
Great.
goes, "You're my sister." And Leia's like, "Yeah, I always knew that."
No, she says, I know. Somehow I've always known. It's not the same thing as, yeah, I knew that all the time.
Somehow I've always known.
Because when we kissed, I was just thinking about how fucking incestuous it would be. No.
I've always known.
No. Somehow I've always known.
It doesn't matter somehow, whether she was explicitly told.
It does.
Like, somehow I've always known.
No, you're right. You're right. No. I concede the point. When you make a statement, the phrasing and delivery of the statement is not important.
No, it's... So if I was... So... If... I'm trying to think of an apt comparison here, but I mean, the somehow I've always... The bottom line is, I've always known.
But it's not literal.
Somehow means, I don't know how I've always known, but I've always known. That's what somehow implies. Somehow means, well, I don't know how I knew it. And she doesn't, because you said earlier she wasn't trained in the Force or whatever. But she's always known. But it's like, hey, Luke, I've always known I was your sister somehow. But that was a great kiss. A lip kiss.
You can have your lip kiss all day, but remember, Luke communicates with her in Empire. That's the first time that Leia displays Force abilities. And then in Jedi, this is a revelation. It's not, oh yeah, I had that at the forefront of my mind for my entire life. And oh, you didn't know? No, it's a revelation.
Oh, well then that doesn't mean I've always known. That means she would have said, somehow I found out a couple days ago through revelation. I found out a couple days ago. I'm really sorry I kissed you. That was fucking awkward. Let's address the elephant in the room, Luke. And he's like, I don't fucking care. I'm going to grab your boob. Because he's...
I find it funny that you're so hyper-focused on this point when the
incest is illegal in most
scenes,
rational countries on Earth. I'm sure in the
I am not condoning incest.
Not what I hear. So far I've heard anti-Semitism, incest, and probably furry stuff too.
All right. It's funny to me that you gloss over what I really hit on the last two times I've watched this scene, and that is that I misinterpreted a much bigger point going through these scenes until very recently. I always interpreted that scene as, I have to go face him because he's my dad, period. But really, what's going on is, oh shit, he's here. He will find me. And he says this, as long as I stay here, I'm endangering the group and the mission. I have to leave. And he says, I have to confront him, and condensing the dialogue, because there's a chance. And it's worth risking me, which ties back to the Yoda and Ben thing, right? It's worth risking himself, because if they can get Anakin on their side, that would greatly sway things in their favor. And if you remember, Anakin made that offer to him in Empire. He didn't say, join me and let's go meet this really cool dude, Palpatine, who's going to teach you the dark side. He said, together we can rule the galaxy.
So
that offer was on the table, and now Luke goes,
well,
okay,
maybe it's all part of the lore of, like, is he gonna... You don't know maybe there if he's gonna go dark side or light side or whatever. So let me ask you...
that's part of the suspense, but it's not part of the lore. It's all there.
So let me ask you this. If Luke and Darth Vader had teamed up to rule the galaxy, would it have taken 7 or 8 Ewoks to capture them?
They weren't captured.
Well, they would have just been like, oh, I gotta give up because I'm gonna fucking pick stuff up. Because why beat around the bush? Why not just go, whoop, pick the gold thing up right away, and then you just like, fucking fuck you, Ewoks. We rule the galaxy.
Because he's a good person. He's trying to instill goodwill between them. He sees it as an asset. And besides, he's not the kind of guy to come in and murder the indigenous species for no good reason. If they're not a threat, why wipe them out?
He doesn't have to kill them. He could just go, are you... Oh. So you're going to tell me that all he had to do is go, you don't want us. Unless the Ewoks are some impervious to the Force kind of stuff. Are they that bright? They're not fat gangsters. They're stupid teddy bears.
No, he does use the Force to convince them. How did you miss that? Why doesn't
he do that from the get-start? When they come out with their little fucking spears, he just goes, this is not the party you want to take.
Because it's not necessary until that point.
The whole fucking
he uses that ability when it's necessary.
Not necessary. The whole Ewoks are not necessary. None of it's necessary. You could have just cut out a whole... Because already he knew as soon as he was on that ship, he's like, oh, Vader's on that ship. Shit, Vader knows I'm here. Shit, I'm down here. In 12 hours or so, I should make a decision to frickin' leave here. They probably won't have figured out what we're up to by then. Because we're on the fucking moon that has the shield that's the biggest thing protecting this big unfinished Death Star. In 12 hours or so after I bullshit around with my sister again, maybe she'll let me fucking touch her butt cheek, I'll be good to go. No, let me just mess around and get captured by some Ewoks and fart around in the Tree City. Get out of here.
That's exactly what you're saying he should do is exactly what he does.
Yeah. He's 14 hours later.
He's getting them into a safe position where they can act on his mission, and then he leaves. He doesn't book it right off the bat.
They would have been
because they're not established.
They take down that whole damn show without Luke, right?
Yes. But only with the help of the Ewoks, which team up with them because of Luke's diplomacy with them. What are you not getting here?
The Ewoks would have helped them out anyways.
How do you know that?
Because Han's a charmer, and Leia had already laid the groundwork. If Leia had gone, hey, look at my hair braids. Go attack that thing. Die, all of you.
Han drew his gun to shoot him.
Yeah, because Han knows what the fuck he's doing.
I don't see what you're missing.
Teddy bears react to forcible violence. You pop one in the head, they're going to be like, yeah, we'll follow that guy anywhere.
Yeah, they're going to mount an autonomous ambush on your behalf, controlled by what people?
Yeah. Or you just pick up the gold thing. That's all you got to do.
Well, let me tell you, out of the group, besides Leia and 3PO, and maybe R2, although, I don't know, he does have a saw and a zapper on him. You know, Han's going to have a hard time taking a jillion Ewoks. Luke can take them a lot easier than him. He's got one blaster. Chewie can throw him a football field. Not so worried about Chewie, but, you know, you pick a fight with him, and now you don't have him on your side. And here's the thing with Ewoks. The design, hey, great, have your opinion. How everything goes down, I think is handled a lot better than people really look at it with, you know, past goggles on. You know, they mount the ambush completely autonomously of the rebels. They're surprised when they show up. You know, everybody is clearly surprised that the Ewoks are there to help. It's all happenstance, and it's all that Star Wars thing of, you know, it's kind of a karma thing, right? Good deeds breed good deeds. And because they treated them the way that they did, and because the Empire treated their planet the way that they did, the Ewoks side with the rebels. And they bail them out without being made to.
Great. Really?
I'm just saying, all the pieces are there. There's no leap in logic there. It's all there plain as day.
Well, at least we get the ultimate reward, which is a fantastic action sequences, which a bunch of them get killed.
Yes, a bunch of them do get killed. And I agree. I think it is a really great ground war.
All right. Hey, I got to go pee real quick.
All right. Me back. Too.
So, moving on to the storyline, we'll just agree to disagree, and that I probably won the argument. Luke, surrendering to Imperial troops, Luke is brought to Vader and unsuccessfully tries to convince him to turn from the dark side of the Force. I've got no issues here.
Oh, I mean, I think that's doing it a discredit, condensing it that much. This is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I think that this scene is really impressive in that both Luke and Vader, or Anakin, convey some pretty complex emotions in a pretty tightly packed sequence, and they do it through a lot of jargon talk, and also the way that conversation goes down. Okay, so in Empire, right, Vader, he offers to Luke, hey, join me and we'll knock out this old fart and we'll take over the whole damn thing. And Luke's like, no, I'll never do it because I'm not a bad guy. You're a bad guy, and I'm not a bad guy. I'm going to jump 48 million stories to my death. And now, when he meets up with them, they talk it out. And Vader sizes him up. And earlier in the movie, Palpatine tells Vader that he's too strong for them to control, right? One-on-one. They have to work together, or it won't happen. And in this sequence, Vader confirms that assumption because he's like, indeed you are powerful, as the Emperor has foreseen. And then Lucas says, come with me. And he says, you don't understand. I must obey him. And the whole deal is, yeah, you are great, but here's the thing. I'm not on par with you anymore. He can't control Luke. And he knows that because he's standing right there next to him. Luke can't change Vader's mind, but Vader can't control him either. And so Vader won't go with him because Luke's not going to do it his way.
Yeah.
At the same time, Vader also knows that the whole reason Luke is there is to replace him, right? We talked about that earlier. One of my favorite moments in the movie is when Luke says, well, then my father's truly dead. And he's let off and the door closes. And then Vader has this wonderful, very patient scene where he leans on the railing and you can see him thinking about it and conveying that moment through what's essentially an angry refrigerator is really impressive to me. The fact that he slumps kind of, his breathing's really slow, and he's having a pensive thought. Am I doing the right thing? Conveying that through that face, that's really great. I don't care who you are. It's kind of like how the DeLorean in Back to the Future has character. It's kind of like how the Millennium Falcon has character. Conveying that moment with no dialogue specifically addressing it, just through the physical acting of that suit, is one of the most impressive shots in the movie as far as acting is concerned, in my mind. Even better when put in context of who Anakin is, right? All this jargon talk of conflict and dark side and destiny and all this stuff. And you have this really human moment where you see it. He doesn't have to tell you. He shows you. Vader is conflicted about this. He's not confident about it. Or else why take that moment? I think it's really impressive.
That's what I said. I got no issues with that scene.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to kind of go into it a little.
Yeah.
Because I really appreciate that sequence.
It's probably not that great of a scene, but, it's all right.
I enjoy it.
It's all right. Mark Hamill says some words, and, Anakin Skywalker says some words, and, they do some stuff. But we're not here to talk about the scenes that are pretty good. We're here to talk about the scenes that are bad. That's the point of this thing. So, Vader takes Luke to the Death Star to meet Palpatine. Sheev Palpatine. He's like, yo,
Sheev.
What up, Sheev? I'm here with Luke,
Blue Man Group.
Sheev, and Luke, and Annie. So Vader takes Luke to the Death Star to meet Sheev.
Papa Palpatine.
Yeah, intent on turning his son to the dark side. So, ultimately Vader's like, well, we're not going to get anywhere. I'll take him up to fucking Emperor guy. And Palpatine reveals that the Death Star is quite operational and set to destroy the rebellion. And there lies, it's a trap!
Yeah.
On Endor, Han's strike team is captured by Imperial forces. But a surprise counterattack by the Ewoks allows the rebels to launch an attack.
Yeah, number one, I think that the Death Star being ready to rock is a pretty exciting twist, in my opinion. When it fires on the first capital ship, the first time you watch that movie, that's a whoa moment, And I like that they are panicked about it, because it is a panic, I like that they're able to convey the scope of that skirmish and keep up the pacing of that. Like, I don't know, man. I like that twist. I think it's a legitimately exciting twist, and I think it's one that dulls with, jillions of watches. Because you got to remember, first time you go into that movie, you don't know that. You don't know that Palpatine set this up. You don't know how it's going to go down.
Man, by this point, I'd done seen Independence Day. I already knew.
Okay, so because you had seen Independence Day.
Yeah.
You don't like the twist about the Death Star.
Jeff Goldblum, way better than Lando Calrissian. Good guy from the start. He wouldn't. Yeah, if Hitler had walked up to Jeff Goldblum, he wouldn't have gave up everybody or Skywalker.
Oh, yeah, because rehashing ideas sucks. Must go faster. Look at my swagger. I didn't hear no fat lady. You're obsessed about the fat lady.
I'm glad you agree with me. Meanwhile,
Jeff Goldblum.
Lando, the anti-Semite, piloting the Millennium Falcon, leads the rebel fleet to the Death Star, only to find that the station's shield is still quite operational. And the Imperial fleet is waiting for them. Cool. We just talked about that. You agreed that Independence Day did it better. Palpatine tempts Luke to give in to his anger and join the dark side of the Force. And Luke engages Vader in a lightsaber duel. Now, here's what I'll say. Genius tactic by the Emperor. He's cunning in that way. He understands what makes that man tick. Because by making him angry. Now, here's what I also say. The way that Family Guy did it was awesome.
Oh, you're talking about the where he starts addressing Seth Green directly.
Yeah.
Oh man, genius! I love that sequence. But no, Luke versus Vader. Here's where shot composition comes in, and here's where trilogy continuity comes in. The fight on Bespin in Empire Strikes Back, yeah? Mm-hmm. Luke is totally outclassed from the first minute that he engages Vader, and it's completely clear, and made more clear by the fact that Vader fights him one-handed, yeah?
Yeah.
The beginning of that lightsaber fight is a shot of Luke walking up the stairs to meet Vader on his level. The first thing that happens after Palpatine baits Luke into taking a swing and having Vader block and forcing him to engage him is he kicks him down the stairs, and then Anakin has to walk up the stairs to meet Luke now. And this ties all back to that scene earlier where Vader sizes him up and realizes that this is how it's going to go down. On the one hand, I don't think we can take Palpatine. On the other hand, I know I can't take you. So it's you or me. He's accepted that. But, I really love that continuity there. That shot of him having to walk back up the stairs to engage Luke again. First thing Luke does is put Vader on his ass, which I think is a really cool way to kick that off. No pun intended. Also, Luke is like in Empire, he's like sweating, he's huffing, but Vader's breathing during that fight is nice and even, right?
Yeah.
If you listen to Vader's breathing in Jedi after the first little skirmish and Luke jumps up onto the ramp, his breathing is really hasty. His shoulders are moving up and down. He's already stressed. And all that's right there, plain as day. Vader's breathing is done in post. Shot composition doesn't happen by accident. All that shit's right there. And again, really cool sequence. There's so much detail there that can't possibly be a mistake, that it really is that layer of the onion that I can watch now and be like, you know what, man, this is fucking cool.
Well, I mean, I like that sequence. So, I mean, this is another one where it's a good sequence. It's a good lightsaber battle. And what I really like about it is this next part where Vader discovers Luke has a sister and threatens to turn her to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Enraged, Luke attacks Vader and severs his father's right hand. So a lot of full circle stuff there. He uses the Emperor's tactic. He's not turned from the dark side. And this is the best part of the movie. Unfortunately, at the same time, you've got fucking Disney World going on down below. And, yeah.
See, I disagree. I think that the fact that you have, and this stands with the original trilogy and the entire saga, I think that the fact that that trilogy ends with not only a really great lightsaber fight that still holds up in my opinion. Are they moving as fast as the lightsaber fights in the prequels? No. But I think it holds up great. I think it's a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of emotion there. And the pacing of it is good. At the same time, you have a ridiculously well done space battle going on. And at the same time, you have a huge ground war going on. Ewoks, take them or leave them. If you don't like Ewoks, that's fine. So, okay. But you have a ground war, a space battle, and a lightsaber fight all happening at the same time. And they're paced as such to offer relief beats so that you're not watching a 22-minute action sequence. I think it's ambitious as shit, and I think it's exceptionally well pulled off. And with that finale to that movie, I can't name a more satisfying trilogy ender of a movie. Can't name one. And I think Back to the Future 3 is underrated, but the difference there is Back to the Future 3 is not a spectacle. It's a character piece. What's great about that movie is that it's a character piece. Jedi is just like, Empire is a better movie, yeah?
Yeah.
Jedi is a better Star Wars. When you think of what you expect from a science fiction epic, from an adventure movie, Jedi is a satisfying as shit trilogy ender, in my opinion. And I think that the finale is a big part of that. And the fact that those effects, again, all done by hand, I think it's really impressive even to this day. I just really loved the finale of that movie.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whatever. They're doing another Death Star run. That's cool. And I mean, I like, you know, that's fine. Like, it's a good lightsaber battle. It holds up well. You know, the Ewok stuff down below, it's kind of like, you know, it's all right. The stuff, you know, like the stuff going on in Endor. Yeah.
You get a few really cool Han shots, and you get a couple really good Chewie moments too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you know, unfortunately, you know, it was just preceded by a lot of kind of meh. So, on Endor, the strike team defeats the Imperial forces and destroys the shield generator with a big explosion. He's like, run! That was kind of cool. Allowing the Rebel fleet to launch their final assault on the Death Star. So the shield's down, and then, you know, Lando and his crew's going to go in, and you know, because the Emperor's just stupid. He thought everything goddamn through, but he didn't think this Death Star thing could be possible because he's just a poor leader. At the same time, a furious Palpatine tortures Luke with Force lightning, which is cool. That's cool. Like, holy shit, they can do lightning.
And that trick ends up being like the fucking linchpin of Force combat throughout the entire franchise. Like there's even points in Clone Wars where people just outright say like, no, I can't challenge Palpatine because I don't know how to do the motherfucking lightning. Like,
is that the Netflix cartoon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it even comes up there where Dooku trains this new Sith dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, but Master, you haven't taught me the ultimate technique. And he's like, and I'm not going to. Because the lightning is the fucking shit. When you have Hadouken, you know, nah, you don't train Hadouken.
All right, so you can't learn Raiden skills till you get really high level. But what's the fucking... What consequence? Not consequence, I shouldn't say it that way. I understand consequence in terms of plot. But what consequence in terms of its effect does it ever really have in the movies?
Well, I mean, it essentially defeats Luke. That's the first time that it shows up in the classic trilogy. Yoda in the prequel trilogies, it puts Anakin on his ass. Dooku puts Anakin on his ass, and then Yoda displays his power by defending against it.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, the lightning is like the linchpin of the dark side. You play, you know, anytime you talk about anything, light side, dark side, lightning's going to be at the crux of it.
Yeah. Okay. So we get that point. There's lightning fights, and fucking Luke's getting electrocuted by Raiden and by Sheev Raiden, and unwilling to let his son die, Vader becomes Anakin Skywalker again and kills Palpatine, therefore fulfilling the prophecy that he would be the one to destroy the Sith and restore balance to the Force, but is mortally wounded in the process. So that's kind of interesting. I've never really thought about that until I just read that sentence. That he is actually the one that destroys the Sith, and so that's pretty cool. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, not only by siring Luke and Leia, you know, which we agreed we wouldn't get into extended universe stories, but not only by that, but also directly. Again, I think that's pretty damn solid.
Yeah, I mean, that's a cool kind of, because one thing we've talked about before is, I mean, ultimately the whole trilogy is not really about Luke. So the thing that the prequels does, I kind of like some of the prequels, but that's another talk for another time. But one of the things that the prequel does really well is it makes this whole story ultimately about Anakin and Darth Vader, not really about Luke.
No, I believe that you know, Luke and Han and Leia, that whole group, they're the antagonists. Anakin is the protagonist. And the entire story, because the protagonist is the one that moves the story forward and the antagonist is the one that holds it back, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing all the time. They're pushing back against Anakin. And Anakin is the only character in the original trilogy who has faults that he overcomes. You know, at the last minute, you know, it's a deathbed repentance and he gets to appear as a ghost, and that's not really fair. But at the same time, if he didn't decide to fucking chuck him down the hole, Luke be dead.
Yeah. And
there you go.
Well, so I'm sure it's going to say here. Yeah, it's okay. So at his father's request, Luke removed Anakin's mask to see his scarred face, allowing Anakin to look on his son with his own eyes before dying in Luke's arm. Yeah, okay, cool scene, whatever. Kind of controversial because it's an old white guy, not James Earl Jones. I've never had an issue with that. I've read before, though, people like, oh, it's James Earl Jones' voice, but you can't have freaking Luke's dad be a black dude and he's a white dude. It would just be weird.
I think it's a practical issue, you know, like you're saying. And also, I've kind of come around with Hayden being the ghost instead of this dude that we don't know. I think that's okay. I think that in a movie, you have to accept that characters at different ages, different stages in their lives, are going to be played by different actors in different ways.
Yeah.
And I just attribute James Earl Jones to the suit. He's the voice of the suit.
Yeah.
And that's just the deal. Like, I'm totally okay with that.
Let me ask you this just theoretical question.
Okay.
Well, first let me read the last paragraph here. And we'll talk, we get to the ending of the movie, and then I want to pose a hypothetical question to you. So Lando leads the remaining ship into the station's core and destroys the main reactor as the Imperial fleet is overwhelmed, because why would you defend your frickin' most valuable fucking killer tool? Luke escapes on an Imperial shuttle with his father's body, while Lando escapes in the Falcon moments before the Death Star explodes. On Endor, Leia reveals to Han that Luke is her brother, and they share a kiss. Because Han's a pretty bright dude. Han's like, hey, look, I know you frickin' weirdos are incestuous because you've known that was your fucking brother all along. That's why you let him grab your boob. And gave him a lip kiss.
Go on.
But that's cool. Han's like, that's cool. You're not a frickin'... You're only like kind of a frickin', moral nightmare. Not a complete one. And they kiss. Luke returns to Endor and cremates his father's armor on a funeral pyre. Why does it say he cremates his father's armor?
I guess just to establish that that's how it appears in the shot.
Oh, okay.
But it's not just his armor, it's Anakin.
Yeah, it's him. He's dead.
Well, oh wait, no. It's not Anakin, because he appears as a ghost. They're right.
So his body...
He appears as a ghost, so he vanishes just like Ben and Yoda do. I never thought about that shit.
So it's just a symbolic thing?
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Oh, deep. As the rebels celebrate the end of the Empire, Luke sees the spirits of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and the redeemed Anakin watching over them. Cool. All right, okay, so here's how you can make this ending better. Here's how George Lucas could have been like, you want a fucking happy ending? I'll give you a fucking happy ending. So let's just say he kills the fucking Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And he fulfills the prophecy. And he goes, hey, Luke, I'm not mortally wounded. Let's fucking rule the universe using the dark side, and I'm the new Sith Lord, me and you. That would have been badass.
You don't think that would have... Well, number one, he's one-handed, and so it's not going to be a very good fight.
Oh, get out of here. No, I'm saying, God damn it.
You just mean he's forced to kill him.
You got... No. What I'm saying is, Vader's like, hey, bro, I just killed the Sith with one hand. I killed Sheev with one hand. Lightning be damned, I could take Sheev out. Luke, now we can do it. I'm the new Sith Lord. You're the new Sith apprentice, my son. We're going to do the dark side. And Luke's like, yeah, we're going to rule the universe.
So you're saying ultimately after all that, Luke crosses over?
Yeah, because he's like, man, the dark side is pretty badass if it lets you frickin' kill the fucking lightning hand Sheev. I'm just saying a what if, just a thought exercise. If Luke was at the end, it's like, yeah, let's go dark. This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea.
And he goes down to the thing and that's where you get your, because that's what would have won me over. It'd be like, oh yeah, you little stupid Wookiee things or Ewoks. And they just go down there and just start choking Ewoks with their hands. And even frickin' Vader with one hand can choke two Ewoks at the same time.
It'd be really funny, but I don't think that there's any alternate universe where that's the end of that movie. It's a fun idea. So what? They fucking kidnap Leia and make her a slave, just like an incestuous sex slave.
Oh yeah, she would have just been letting everybody grab on her boobs and giving them lip kisses.
Implied forced lip kisses.
Yeah, they just have been like I've always known you were my father. Lap dance.
Okay.
And if she starts to give up a little bit, one-handed choke.
That guy's weird.
And Lando, they just would have been like, hey, Lando, I'm going to kill a stranger if you don't, bring me some bread. He's like, here's some bread.
Okay, so I big picture here.
I should have been a damn movie director.
What pieces of the puzzle are you missing at this point?
I'm not missing the pieces of the puzzle. It's the execution of it that's weak. Like I said, the originals kind of tank the movie in the fact that, badass Jedi Luke doesn't seem as badass when I've got, that dude General Grievous spinning 4 lightsabers and, that other dude, the NWO Wolfpack guy with the red and black makeup that's shooting his little double thing, and you get some really badass stuff, and then you get Luke like, oh, you know what I can do? I can surrender to teddy bears in order to make them turn to my side through peaceful negotiations.
Well, see, that's the thing. In the same way that I think that Jedi legitimately accelerates things, effects and otherwise, from the first 2 films, the prequels also accelerated things. So you have to accept that while the story takes place before the original trilogy, those movies were made in a sequence and 30 years happened in between them. It's kind of like complaining that Wii U games have texture. This video game, fucking Super Mario World, sucks. It's not in 3D.
Well, yeah, that's exactly the point, is that, a kid today that plays, a PlayStation 4 is not going to be as wowed by, a kid today that picks up a game, Call of Duty for PlayStation 4 is not going to go back to the first Call of Duty and go, wow, this is amazing.
I wholeheartedly agree. But again, those are 2 separate conversations.
Yeah.
Do I like this movie as a movie? How do I rate this as a film? And then, how does it hold up? Because like you said, you're not going to have a haircut from fucking... Watch Friends, man. You want to talk about bad haircuts? Holy shit. And you know what? Other people had those haircuts too. You know what I'm talking about, man? So, yeah, hairstyles change. Effects get better.
Man,
effects get better, then they get worse, then they get really good, I mean, look at the prequels. You telling me that the prequels aren't dated as shit today too?
Yeah, they are.
The last time we watched through those movies, we declared them next to unwatchable because we had just made the leap to HD. Now I can go back and accept them again. But there was a time where I could not watch episode 2 because all the backdrops and everything just stuck out like sore thumbs.
Yeah. But, I mean, the bottom line is that of the original trilogy, Jedi's the weakest. And I
disagree.
I don't, because I just said it. And even if you throw in the prequels, I'd probably put Jedi below episode 2 and maybe even episode 3. There.
No. Episode 3 is a train wreck of a movie. Absolute train wreck. There are parts of it that I like, but there are other parts that just don't come across. I like episode 2 a lot. It's my favorite of the prequel trilogy, but I think Jedi's a stronger movie because Jedi has to cap off a trilogy, and that's what it does. From start to finish. It ties up all the loose ends. It caps off all the theming of the original trilogy. All the characters reach satisfying conclusions. And to cap it off, you get one of the biggest action climaxes that you'd ever seen in a movie like that up to that point. Oh. Star Trek 2 can't hold up to that shit. Not in scope, scale. No way. No way. Not even close. As a matter of fact... Like I said, Empire is a better film. Jedi is a better Star Wars. I enjoyed Jedi much more than I enjoyed Episode 4 because Episode 4 got to set things in motion. Jedi had to capitalize on those things, and in my opinion, it did. I think it's very complimentary to its first 2 movies. And that was its number one goal, you know? And I don't think that when you watch that movie after you see episode 4 and 5, that it's going to really let you down.
Well, so maybe for the kid seeing it for the first time, they're not disappointed. But me, with my ability to use hindsight, which is always 20/20, I say it's not as good. And I think that it just doesn't stand the test of time for me. It's not as good. I could have used a really good dark side Luke and Darth Vader taking over the Earth ending without the, acceptance of incest. And
you know what?
There's
actually a graphic novel series that does end the story that way.
Oh, that maybe that's what I need to read, and they should make a movie of that. And maybe episodes 7 and 8 and 9 are just going to blow me away, and I'm going to be really happy. And I'll go, yeah, now it's not the 4th best Star Wars movie, it's the 7th best.
I'm excited about the new movie, by the way, for our listeners out there. We're recording this about 8 months, 9 months to Star Wars 7?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
I'm super excited. I think it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I can't believe how excited I am about seeing that new full trailer.
Yeah, they got that teaser number 2 or whatever. That thing was badass. And
it was really effective without blowing anything.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't tell you anything too deep into the story, but it does everything you want a trailer for that kind of film to do. And yeah, I'm pumped.
And it abated my fears of seeing them back again.
Yeah,
I really think Abrams is going to handle it the right way.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. And anything that we can do to get the taste of Return of the Jedi out of our mouths, the better.
Yeah, but, again, even if I love that movie, I don't think that it still isn't going to take a piece out of Empire, and it's not going to take a piece out of Jedi. Or episode 4, by the same token, episode 4 probably has the lightest action and the longest breaks between action of any of the movies. They wander around the Death Star for what feels like days, and but you don't hold that against it. Like you said, 80-year-old man sword. Yeah. 80-year-old man sword fight, and yeah. You don't hold it against it because you can't judge it against that.
Because it's really good, because it's really awesome, and it's like Obi-Wan, even at 80 years old, didn't walk up and go, "Oh, I'm a badass Jedi. Take me, Sand People, because I'm going to have a negotiation with you later, and then I'll use my Jedi." No, that dude Jedi, he comes up and just goes, "Maw!" and they ran away. So
you know what I love about this?
What?
I stuck to my guns, and my shit's clean, sir. I love that you fucking lost this shit outright.
Well,
I can't believe that I kept up with you on this one.
I'm glad you said that, because, we're coming to the end here, and we've talked about a lot today. And based on what you just said, the conversation that we just had, I think that it's pretty apparent to you and to everyone that I dominated this argument, that you probably hate Return of the Jedi now.
Is this the first time I've ever won one of these?
I'm sorry that you hate Return of the Jedi now.
Which, by the way,
you're too scared to admit it to our listeners.
Your fucking big argument ender on Moneypenny was, how do they contact him? They fucking use the secretary to contact them, because the people that fucking run the intelligence organization don't have the time to pick up the phone. That's why you have secretaries. Bam.
I'm not even going to respond to that. I'm over here basking in my victory. And you're living in the past.
You enjoy it.
You're living in episode 1 or 6, pun intended. And I'm over here just on Mount Glory. And now you're going to go back to your room. You're going to burn your copy of Return of the Jedi. That's fine.
No, man, I may have enjoyed it the most this time out of fucking since I was 6.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so all facetiousness aside, you raised some good points. I just don't enjoy it as much. As I watch through the movie, I find myself going, it feels tedious for me to watch. And it has some great moments, but it feels like there's just a lot that could have either been done different or taken out. And I think you would at least have to grant that point. It could have been done better.
I definitely think that there are fine-tuned points. And again, with Star Wars, and we never really got into this, but real quick, I think every single Star Wars movie, and I'm sure even the Abrams one, there are certain style points, execution points, and dialogue points that you have to look past to the theming and the heart of the thing. The problem with episode 1 is that heart's not there. I think that's why it is the worst of them all, because it doesn't have a soul. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Episode 2 has a soul, and you and I see it. Even though the acting's not top notch, the directing is off par, the movie's far too long. It does a lot of telling, not showing.
Yeah.
So there's and I wholeheartedly appreciate when people can't get past fucking, come to the dark side. It's your destiny. The movie just oozes its own style. And, not being able to cut through that, I don't think is a fault. Also, I know you personally, and I know that you don't have a penchant for action. And that movie is very action heavy.
Yeah.
It's really action heavy. I happen to really like the action sequences, but I'll admit that's a big part of what I think is strong about it. And if you're not into big drawn out action sequences, so more power to you, man. I get it. You know.
Well, I guess I think we can safely say in the end for the 3 people that are still listening, 2 of which are probably us, and the third being the person that we're forcing to listen to it, that this isn't the end of talking Star Wars here. So if you can't take this now, just go. Because we're going to come back to this at some point.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, I hope we do a 22-piece Star Wars saga with a crucial saga that gets into the, maybe one day when I get my video capture set up, we'll sit down and play Super Empire Strikes Back and Super Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And see which one holds up better.
Yeah.
I have all 3 games, by the way.
Nice.
So that'll be that. Look forward to that.
Yeah, there's a lot
ages
of ground
from now.
A lot of ground to dig into with Star Wars, including theory. I mean, like I said, man, if you can't handle this, just get out of here. We don't want you as our audience.
But you know what? If you've never seen a Star Wars, or if you have and you don't like it, go see the Abrams flick, man. It's not going to be the same. I've said this about his Star Trek movies. Abrams wants you to be entertained first and foremost. Fucking go give episode 7 a shot. I think this thing is going to be a great addition to the franchise.
Well, I agree.
I really do.
And I'll close on this note. If you've never seen the original Star Wars trilogy, watch the first 2 and be like, man, those are great. And then when you get to the third one, you don't have to watch it. You could just listen to this episode and go, Matt's probably right, because he frequently is. Or you could watch it and go, Matt was definitely right. And the proof is in the pudding, and I win again.
I mean, sure, and you know what? That's fine. Dude. Yeah, fucking. I won't come down to your level, man. But I will say this: if you didn't see Star Wars as a kid, the movies are fucking 35 years old, some shit like that. Really old.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah,
somewhere in there. I mean, we weren't even when these movies came out. So
no. I think my parents were teenagers when these movies came out.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough. Do I think you need to go watch all the fucking 6 goddamn Star Wars movies and all 7 versions of all 6 movies and the riff tracks before you go see the Abrams flick? Nah, absolutely not. I think you're going to be able to walk in the door and have a good time.
Yeah, I can dig it. So, all right. Well, I think we're good to go.
I also have evokes are okay. Boba Fett is overrated, but he's a perfectly fine support character in Empire and Jedi. Boba Fett.